This is the last part of this mini course or mini tutorials about HTML. Okay, and I'm going to show you one interesting part, which is the definition of a layout. And nowadays, layouts are rendered and are done through CSS and JavaScript. And there are some tips and tricks to use when you want to define your layout, your background, and so on. The first rule, the first trick is to use tables. Here, for example, I have a table, okay, in my HTML document. I'm gonna give here the width, and the border is 0, so the width is 100%. So I have my container, so my entire body is contained inside the table because the width is 100% and the border is 0. Then I'm going to define areas. So instead of creating sections, I'm gonna create areas divided by rows, like this one, tr. So I have 1, 2, and 3 rows, and within the rows I have columns. Here I have a column which is basically a merge of 2 columns with a background color. In this row I have instead 2 separate columns, while here I have 2 merged, while I have 2 separate, and the 2 have different background color and different width, and this one even has a height of 200. Then my last rows contain 1 columns, which is a merge of 2 columns. So we have 1, 2, 1. So I need to merge this if so the number of columns in each row has to be the same always. If I don't put this, then I will have an empty space here. But by the way, here we have another background color, and we have some text. So let's see what happened. I'm going to see the results of this. See, here we have first row, second row with 2 columns, 2 different background colors, and again here we have similar to the first one. Okay, I've created this. So the background, the width 50 and 100. Okay, here 50, 100, and so on. Then another way to create layouts is to use here tables like that, okay, with multiple columns. Okay, here we have tr with a td like this, and another td with this styles background color like that, and then another one with this. Okay, so I'm going to see here, so in multiple columns. So this was in rows, and then here we have 3 columns, as you can see. Okay, this has this style, this has this style here, background color, height, okay, background color, this one, and so on. The last method is to use the 2 modern objects, div and span. If you remember, I already mentioned these 2. One is a block element, div. The other one, span, is an inline element, and are used mainly to define styles for all the elements included in these documents, in these elements. So here, for example, I create a div, which is nothing more than a block without any specific characteristics, but only define a style. Here, for example, the style is width is 100%. And then inside I have another div, which is characterized by the style here, CSS, inline CSS, you see, with 100% with this background color. Then another div with this style here, another background color, another height, another width, float left, so everything has to stay on the left. And here again, this one on the left, width is this one, height is this one, background color is this one. Then another div here, this background color, this height, this width, float right, this has to be on the right. And here another div like that. Okay, so I'm gonna execute this, Okay, you see here that I have now, okay, again I have formatted in all these areas. So say okay, so I have 1 2 3 4 5 blocks. Okay, you see here 1 2 3 5 6 blocks. Okay, suppose that just using the div, one can understand that this is a div. You see 100%, this is also 100%, and then we have this or on the left, and this one is on the right. Okay, here is empty. So floating, float on the left, float on the left, float on the right. Okay, here left, left, float on the right. And the width, so different width. Okay,